Welcome to the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, my friend and fellow LVGA board member, the president and CEO of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce, Scott Muelrath. Scott, welcome.
Thank you, Jaime.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this for a while now. We're excited to have you here. We like to start this format with sharing with our audience a little bit about our guest. Tell us where you were born, where you grew up, you went to school. Perhaps take us all the way to your first job after graduation.
Sure. Well, I'm like so many Southern Nevadans, I'm a California expat from Northern California, though, not Southern. Uh-huh. So I was born in Redwood City in the Bay Area. And shortly there, right after my birth, my parents were just waiting for me. We moved up to Napa, California. So I really grew up all through my youth amongst the vines. Wow. Sort of took that for granted. I graduated Napa High School in 1988 and then went to UC Davis, where I ended up meeting my wife-to-be as an undergrad. We were both history majors, and we had back-to-back women's study course and history course. We had them back-to-back, and she eventually accosted me, and the rest was history. We met and ended up getting married. But that was, so that ultimately I followed her here to Southern Nevada, as she is the British Empire historian at UNLV.
Wow. And so in the 90s, you guys moved from UC Davis to Las Vegas.
So we relocated here in 2001.
Oh, wow.
So prior to that, my professional career back in the Bay Area was actually in marina management and waterfront development. So it was a bit of a career flip in some ways and coming out to the desert, right? So I managed some harbors in the San Francisco Bay Area and was involved in, I became a bit of a dredging expert, which is where you remove the soil and the earth that builds up in a marina. And there wasn't a lot of that going on here in Southern Nevada. So when we came out here, I went into commercial real estate.
And you said your wife currently is on the UNLV team, on Chris Heavey's team?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Right.
She is actually going to be chair of the history department on July the 1st. Wow. And she was the first woman to get full professorship in the history department at UNLV.
That's so cool. Tell her congrats.
Yes.
Wow. Your professional journey brings you here to Vegas. Kind of close the gap for us. What happens then? You get here to Vegas. How do you get to be the president of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce? What happened in between there?
Yeah, so I arrived in Southern Nevada as a harbor master, right? That was my Bay Area title. And I had to equate. First, we settled in Boulder City because I needed to be by the water, right? So, and we've actually lived in Boulder City ever since. But it was marina management was management, in some ways property management. So I went into real estate property management when I first got here with a company called Great American Capital. And then I went to work for Forest City Enterprises and was in charge of the regional mall at the Gallery at Sunset when it was a poppin' mall.
Wow.
Managed that for 8 years. Was involved in the downtown redevelopment where we are here today. Built the new city hall for the city of Las Vegas with Whiting Turner. Was a Forest City development project, and also was part of securing the management contract for Town Square for Forest City. So I was involved in a lot of real estate, different types of development. I did that for 8 years and learned a lot going through the Great Recession in the commercial real estate space because I had hundreds of tenants that I had to manage through. But also in that time, I started serving on the board at the Henderson Chamber of Commerce, and that's ultimately where my path took me to where I am today.
Okay, and how long have you been the CEO now, president and CEO of the chamber?
Oh my, Jaime, it'll be 15 years in September. Yeah, so aside from Jill Lagan out in Boulder City, I'm the most tenured chamber CEO in I guess probably the state.
Yeah. So, maybe they'll give you a professorship like your wife's.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's cool. Wow. And so, I love the podcast because I get to learn a lot about the guests that I didn't know, even though we see each other a lot at meetings and functions. I didn't even know that you were involved with the development of this site back when Mayor Goodman moved the city staff out of the old, now called Zappos building into here. That's great. And hopefully today after the podcast, we can give you a little tour of this addition to this complex, because originally, like you said, City Hall came first, Municipal Court came next. And just a few months ago, they completed the Civic Center campus, which includes buildings A and B, which we're in B right now, and of course the Carolyn Goodman Plaza, which is downstairs. So I'll love to show you that. So for those who may not be familiar, tell us about the Henderson Chamber of Commerce. What do business is? Not just Henderson, perhaps. Maybe what does the business community get from the Henderson Chamber of Commerce? What's the role of the chamber in our community?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And there's a handful of chambers that really make a big difference throughout our community, and they all each exist because they meet a specific demographic and a specific demand, right? When I took over at the Henderson Chamber, when the CEO retired, the organization was just around 600 members. So we had like a $500,000 budget, and we had $150,000 in the bank. So people were like, Muelrath, what are you doing, man? You're leaving this great real estate career, which it was difficult coming out of the recession again. But I could, being on the board, I could just sense that there was a fabric within the community that was really, it was powerful. There was a sense of community that wasn't being tapped into. The chamber had not remade itself out of the Great Recession. And so the opportunity really was recognizing that and seeing that it was at the low point. So when I took over, it was, it was an opportunity to create an all new organization, knowing there was a good fabric of community there to lean into. And so we just slowly built and took steps forward. There's a lot of things that the Henderson Chamber does that you would expect a normal Chamber of Commerce to do, and bringing business together and networking events. But we also have a whole lot of unique things that I think set us apart in the marketplace and has led to our success. If you fast forward to the current day, we're at 2,200 members and have almost a $3 million budget that is 100% membership driven. Wow. We're very proud of that. Some of the unique things, and one of the things that led me to, the chamber early on was that it's a business incubator, because I had spent so many years working with small business owners coming out of the recession as tenants and trying to keep them open. And the incubator was sort of a give back for me as a board member and trying to support some of the small business tenants that were there and providing them some input. And we've since grown the incubator quite a bit.
That's awesome. And so chambers across the country, I've heard this saying from a chamber executive, you get to know one chamber, you don't get to go to know all of them. They're all a little bit different, as you said. And this uniqueness of the Henderson Chamber is what's allowed it to grow from the revenue you got it at to now $3 million a year. Those unique characteristics of the chamber, if you will. Yes. Yeah. That's awesome. So Scott, I can walk to the Chamber of Commerce office now on Green Valley Parkway in the 215. I live right behind what used to be the old Zappos offices, across that center, if you will, into that residential area. How many times did the office move in your tenure? Was that the only time, the move into the office where you are now, or did you move several times?
Yeah, so we were located down on Boulder Highway, and we had a bank branch that had been gifted to the chamber by what was then First Interstate Bank, eventually became Wells Fargo. And we, while being down in the redevelopment area, was good, and supporting that area wasn't very central, and it wasn't part of the kind of the commerce heart of Henderson for sure. So we moved into our current office above Nevada State Bank, courtesy of Nevada State Bank. Couldn't do it without them 8 years ago.
Oh. So yeah, that's Terry Shirey and his group.
Yes, Terry has been fantastic supporter, and the entire Nevada State Bank organization has been a great partner.
That's great, and you're right. I bought my home there in 1993 when there was nothing. There was no freeway, no 215. It was St. Rose Parkway all the way through, and now to be able to walk to the what's today called the Lee's Family Forum to watch hockey games. The district, Green Valley Ranch Resort. My kids went to brand new schools back then. Two elementary schools, Twitchell and Vanderburg. And then Bob Miller came up, and then Coronado High School. It just seems like that area was dirt when I got there, but now it's so populated, and the growth is amazing. So the chamber has been a part of that journey as well. What industries are you excited about? Because we just talked about sports is in Henderson now, not just with the Henderson Silver Knights and the lacrosse team, and we have the Raiders headquarters in Henderson. There's chicken and pickle, there's so much stuff happening, not to mention Haas and things. But what are you excited about? What economic development opportunities do you see in the near future for Henderson?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Haas, Jaime, and Haas Automation is, of course, the manufacturer that basically builds the equipment that builds the tools, as we like to say. Aside from arguably outside of gaming, some of the biggest economic development wins for Southern Nevada. You look at the Raiders, huge success story, and the ripple effect that created. But Haas Automation for Henderson is going to be a massive game changer. And we have our challenges in preparing for it, as you well know, because there's a very real workforce component that the Chamber's been stepping into to try and assist with. But we're very excited about that factory opening late this year, and they're going to, slowly transition some of that workforce from Oxnard, California, to Henderson. So that's a very real development that'll be very tangible for the community. As far as other opportunities, Henderson is a very well planned city. It always has been. And that comes from effective city management and effective city leadership. Years ago, they annexed additional land down into the El Dorado Valley towards Boulder City. And while that's not exactly sexy development, it will be. There'll be a lot of distribution and potential manufacturing sites in that direction as that starts to develop. So
and that's past Railroad.
Yes. Yeah. What Railroad Pass used to be the outer edge of Henderson. You would know that because in Boulder City, it's the only jurisdiction in the state that doesn't allow gambling. So there was a casino right at either end, and Railroad Pass was one of those. But since the city of Henderson annexed land down into the valley, and it has its challenges in getting it powered up and infrastructure and those things. But in the years ahead, that there will be a fair amount of development out there. It's a frontier for Henderson to take advantage of, because as we know, West Henderson is pretty well built out, and the whole federal lands issue is a whole separate conversation about creating further opportunity. But
you're right. I remember a decade ago or so when West Henderson, there was no Inspirata, no this, no that, and more than a decade ago. But again, you drive by there now and it's all filled up. It's unbelievable how Henderson is growing. So the land that you're talking about, if I was to go east, I guess, on the 95 after Railroad, is it on the right side of the freeway?
Yes.
Henderson? Okay.
Yeah.
I can envision it now. And one of the things that we talked about Haas, and people always talk about when big companies like Haas come into a city, slowly but surely they also drag their supply chain. And so that's, I'm sure, do you feel that's going to be an opportunity that it's not being talked about much, but it's a great also economic development opportunity for the city?
Absolutely. And we just saw one of the first companies relocate to Henderson from Southern California to support Haas, Roncelli. And there are, some of the suppliers and services that Haas needs don't exist here right now. So either we need to get, improve that locally, or they'll look to relocate here or expand their offerings from Southern California into Henderson. So it should be a very positive ripple effect. And Haas has the ability to add some additional commercial space right outside of the factory area so they can really house some of those suppliers.
Oh, that's great. Every time I drive by that road, the factory looks different. I mean, it's just coming up fast. Unbelievable site. Do you remember how many million square feet it is?
Oh my goodness. When we did our economic development awards and they had a picture, an aerial shot of the roof space and how much it covered, it really made you realize how
Massive.
big the building was.
Yeah.
It's over 2 million square feet.
Yeah. When I drive by, you've visualized something you've been hearing about. And now you start to see how they're going to pack 2,500 people in there because it's just so massive. One of the things we talked about earlier, Scott, is that chambers of commerce are the voice of the business community. You represent your members, both small, medium, large businesses. What are you hearing from them currently as the biggest challenges, perhaps, that they're facing, concerns that they have about the reality of of the world today, our economy, locally and nationally?
Yeah. Well, I think very locally, there's different sectors that are benefiting or having challenges in different ways, right? I think through the past year and a half, I think the Southern Nevada economy has been very resilient. We've had a fair amount of headwinds, tariffs, tourism slowdown, the loss of the Canadian and Mexican tourist has been real. How long that takes to start showing up in the local economy, will it? It is hard to gauge. The inflationary pressures have been very real, and that is hardest on the mom and pop business. They do not have the buying power. They do not have the credit history. They do not have the clout to compete as the cost of goods and services has gone up so much. And we have seen some of those non-chain brick and mortar retailers go out of business because you're only going to pay so much to go out to your favorite restaurant, and if it's a local establishment. So that's been a bit painful to watch and hear about. The flip side, there's also a lot of, I like to say developers develop. They're only going to sit on the sidelines so long. And I think a lot of people sat on their hands a bit through last year, whether they were waiting on buying a home or they were waiting on starting their development project. And we've seen a lot of activity that really started in December, moving into the first quarter around some projects that are now finally getting underway. So even though the costs are high and construction costs are high, there's things that are moving forward. So so excited about that because, those bigger commercial projects create a very positive ripple effect throughout the business community. So there's several tales of success or otherwise out there and how it has evolved over the last year and a half. Yeah.
You can't help to, when you're on the 215, again, heading east, if you will, on your way to, Boulder Highway, when you look at that mountainside, of Henderson, how we've carved into it with homes, that's been going on for a while, big homes. But then you can't help to see those two high rises that are coming up there deeper. It just catches your eye right away. What do you think about the impact of that project?
Yeah. So the Four Seasons project, the two towers you're referring to, they have been selling at a very, very high clip. So I know the developer there and the leader on the sales side, and they have been increasing the prices very significantly. But the market demand has been there, and so they've been able to do that. And so it's a very impressive project. It's going to bring a lot of wealth into Southern Nevada. They've had a bit of a push out of Washington because of the wealth taxes that they have put into place there is chasing some of those dollars to Southern Nevada. And so they have picked up. Now we're hoping those individuals bring their businesses here too, right? But they're looking for tax shelter as well. So that's been a real effect and something that they didn't entirely expect. But Washington's been a hot recruitment spot in the last 6 months.
And Scott, we've been talking about multiple industries. We touched on manufacturing. We didn't get into healthcare, but healthcare has grown in Henderson as well. New hospitals. Again, when you drive by the Raiders, you see Intermountain Health. Mitch company. He was here for the podcast also as well recently. It's just so much growth, and so when you have that kind of growth in industries, of course, they need a workforce to be able to continue to grow and expand. How can, from your perspective, how can workforce and education partners, Workforce Connections, Employee NV, Dieter, the Clark County School District, which is where workforce starts, and then the post-secondary partners as well, CSN, UNLV, Nevada State University. How can we all work better together with employers to better align the talent pipeline? Because the demand needs to drive what we're producing on the supply side. But from your lens, how do we make that happen in a sustainable way?
Well, it's been, diversifying the economy has been a challenge. And, there's some that say, why do we even need to? Because gaming just, drives so much. And there is that argument to be had. But it also shows that when we get hit hard. And we really do need to have some other career paths, trajectories, and types of companies that are in Southern Nevada. One of the challenges, I think, has been over the years is a lack of consistency. And when I say lack of consistency, I mean everything from business leadership to business ownership to elected leadership. Everything rotates. It changes over. Different visions get implemented, and and that has its plus sides as well, right? I'm not. You have to have change, but there's a lot of stop and starts that occur, and I think a lot of the companies that attempt to get involved become disillusioned with the process because they don't see outcomes, and they'll be involved for quite some time working on initiatives, and then for whatever reason, loss of funding, change of leadership, change of programming, different electoral outcomes, and things conclude without really having anything meaningful occur. So you have to have the private sector in the room as company owners and HR directors to really get the input on the ground as to what's happening. But then it takes time, right? I mean, it takes time through the CCSD system and through higher education to meet those workforce needs. And so that has been a big issue. I mean, I think you talk to some of these manufacturers that have been around for quite some time, and they're like, Scott, we've done this before, we've tried this before, it didn't work, and I get that to a point, but it's maintaining the course. And I mean, I think you know this as well as anybody, because Workforce Connections, you've proven, Jaime, is a very interactive, engaging approach to workforce in our community, which I certainly appreciate. But it's keeping the right people in the room together, working on the right thing consistently, and then not changing course before there's an opportunity for outcomes. And I think the business leaders often get disillusioned because they don't have the patience to sit through it. They're just going to go and power through on their own, they decide. And so one of the things we have going right now in relation to Haas Automation, their arrival, we committed to Haas that we would start a manufacturing committee once they started going vertical. So we have that underway. We have, for over a year now, we've been meeting, and we have a really strong group of committed. You have to be a general manager owner to be on the group. And we're starting to see some traction on a few workforce initiatives there.
Tom and Peter co-chair that, right?
So Tom Power is the chair, and Mahirwa from Aristocrat Gaming is the vice chair. Okay. And Peter is on the committee as well, of course. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I've been hearing obviously great things about the progress. That's a great example of employer-led, I think, planning, if you will. And then hopefully, as you said, it's in the execution that really that's where the proof is. And hopefully not just Workforce Connections, but the other partners we mentioned can deliver on listening to those employers and then reacting or responding, if you will, to their need, building things that respond to their needs and not the other way around. So in 2018, Scott, you helped launch one of the most successful chamber-led health plans in the country, the Clark County Health Plan Association, or CCHPA, and you received the LVGA Partnership Award. That was just one of the many, I think, awards that the Chamber has earned over the years. But what does this recognition mean to you and the Chamber?
Well, it's it's an important service. The health insurance landscape is not sustainable right now. So the Chamber, we tried to figure out a pathway to at least offer something in the current landscape so that small business had an opportunity to find insurance. And the program has proven very successful. We now have over 900 businesses in the program, over 20,000 small business lives insured and their families. And we were able to last 4 years, we were able to offer that program without even any premium increases.
Wow.
But obviously with all the inflationary pressures and things that are going on, that's not the case this year. We've had to implement increases starting July 1, but the plan is still very, very competitive for most businesses that qualify into it. So again, it's about being a chamber and providing the service that the community needs, and that's definitely something the community needs. And we have the Henderson Chamber has the largest chamber-associated health plan in the country. So,
and it's been now replicated, obviously not just here, but in other places where chambers have stepped up to that role as well. I've heard of several, but it's great to know that it was pioneered here, right here in our backyard. And I've been a resident of the city since 1993. I stopped counting, but it feels like a lifetime. My children grew up there. I'm so proud of how, as you said before, leadership of the city over the years with when Jim was the mayor and Deborah and now my boss Michelle. The leadership has been amazing. Even the city team that's had multiple leaders now. It's hard to believe that Richard's not there anymore, because he was there for so long. But it's that consistency you talked about before that really matters in the long run. Sometimes, as you said, you might have a good idea, but if it fizzles and never goes, it was just that. But the fact that Henderson has really been well planned, you said that earlier too. You see that evidence when you drive through our city. So let's shift gears now, Scott, from your professional life to your personal life. You're a very busy, leader. You, again, just being able to keep the chamber relevant and helping these businesses demands a lot of your time. Plus, you serve on boards like the LVGA with me. How do you recharge your batteries? What kind of activities fill your cup, energize you, give you that fuel you need to go back and do it again and again every week?
Yeah. Well, I guess the two things that would allow me not to think about anything else in the world, right? One of those, my daughter has since graduated high school, but I was an assistant coach on her basketball team through high school, and that was tops. Wow. I mean, I would whenever I'd be on the court with her and watching her and the team and being a part of that, you'd forget about everything else.
Wow. And Boulder City High School?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And she in 3A she led the state and made 3-pointers, so I was very proud of her.
Wow.
So that was, but she graduated, and I didn't continue with that.
And what year did she graduate?
Just last year.
Okay.
So she's a freshman at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Wow.
Yeah. But the other thing, Jaime, is fly fishing. So I grew up. I learned how to fly fish with my dad when I was 11, and I just love it. It takes you away. It takes you to the most beautiful places in the world. We produce one of the top coffee table books on fly fishing in the world.
You and your dad?
Yep.
Wow.
It's called The Hunt. And so I've had the good fortune of going from Labrador to Chile and New Zealand and many other places to chase the world's
So
great
Chile,
game fish.
the rivers that come up from the mountains where the river salmon are, trout, or?
Yep. So where they flow into the fjords and the Patagonia,
yeah.
and
Wow.
So I'm gonna actually go back down to Chile in February. So.
You know who has asked me to go is Clark Wood goes to that same area.
He's a fisherman.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We need to build a little group maybe and go down there. It's beautiful. So as you know, I'm from Peru, and I love fishing as well. I didn't know we had this in common. So I used to go to Canada and Mexico every year to fish and bring home, fresh fish for my family. And then the kids grew up that were not interested anymore at one point. But I also didn't know about your daughter because my daughter played high school basketball at Coronado. One of the final schools that she visited for her college years was Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And she ended up at California Lutheran University up in Thousand Oaks, California, close to Oxnard, where Peter and the Haas gang is at. But again, one of my favorite parts about the podcast is getting to learn more about, our guests. And even though, again, you and I talk a lot, we don't have this time to get that deep. And so thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's great. So what advice would you give, Scott? I always wonder, if it was possible, if I could talk to my 18-year-old self, I think I would save that young man a lot of trouble and pain and mistakes. But then I always remember he probably wouldn't have listened anyway. So what would you tell a young entrepreneur, an 18-year-old, young man or young woman who listens to you and says, I can relate to Scott. I would like to have a career like that one day. Or maybe they want to be a small business owner. They want to grow a business, and perhaps even in Henderson. What can you take from your journey, which has been, today we learned about it, you had pretty hard pivots there, which is really good. What advice would you give them that would help them, give them a better chance of having a successful professional journey like yours?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. Make your mistakes on someone else's dollar. If you want to be an entrepreneur, we need you. We need you out there. But if you're just 18, you need to have mentorship. You need to be part of a framework where you can learn and make mistakes and watch your boss make mistakes as well, so that you can learn some of these things that you just aren't going to have an opportunity. Because if you go right into business as a youngster and you don't have the resources or the capital and you make a mistake, it's
gone.
It's done.
Yeah.
So, again, it's not to sound old fashioned, but join the Chamber of Commerce, whether it's the Vegas Chamber, Henderson Chamber, Latin Chamber, find a mentor, find someone who you align with, that can help show you the way and show a path forward, because there's so many great business people out here in Southern Nevada. And one thing has always been true, Jaime, is no matter how busy a board member is or a business owner, they will almost always take time to mentor somebody, which we put a lot of focus and emphasis on at our incubator down on Water Street. Yep. People want to share their story. They want to share their knowledge. So soak that up and go find it. And hopefully, as this generation comes up, they'll still have the social skills and the business development acumen to interact with people and do that. It just seems like a skill set that's fading away, but those that can execute in that place and relate to people are always going to be successful.
Well said. Before we end, tell us a little bit more about the incubator on Water Street, the building, and what people can go find there.
Yeah, so it's the longest running business incubator in the state of Nevada. And it was coming out of COVID. We weren't quite sure how we were going to restart, but we ended up, thanks to actually Martin Harris Construction, they came in and we remodeled the whole facility. It's a grouping of 15 small private offices. And it's supported. We have SBDC there. We have a variety of chamber programs that support the businesses there. Nevada State Bank covers the attendance of any tenant there at chamber events, so they can get out and network and experience the business community. And so it's a whole community, a whole culture that's just built towards helping these small businesses get started. The leases are just 6 months long, so they're also very low rates. We've been able to partner with some corporate partners as well as Clark County to offer grants to subsidize some selected startup businesses to help them pay the rent initially. So there's a lot of tools there to allow someone to get a business moving in the right direction. So.
And it's in the middle of a vibrant Water Street. Again, I remember 20 years ago, Water Street didn't look like that. And so I'm amazed at how well Henderson has done with the redevelopment efforts. So as we end the podcast, Scott, what you always have a lot of things going on at the Henderson Chamber, some events bigger than others, but can you tell us about maybe some upcoming events, initiatives that you'd like our audience to know about?
Yeah, well, I think, we're an event-driven organization, as you alluded to. We have we have an event every 3 business days. We have something going on, which I think is a great part of our chamber, the Henderson Chamber, is that whether it's morning, lunch, evening, because everybody, everyone's schedules are different. Everyone likes to do different things. And networking is hard, actually. Most people, it doesn't come to them naturally. So you need to do it in a lot of different ways. So we're very tried and true in regards to that. We do have an HDA event. HDA is our Henderson Development Association. It's the economic development arm of the Henderson Chamber. And we have an event coming up on the, I think it's in next Friday, actually. It'll be at Lowry's Prime Rib. It'll be featuring several housing developers and how they're kind of combating and offering attainable housing in the marketplace. One cool thing down on Water Street is there's a couple tiny home initiatives where there are these very small homes. They're trying to make an attainable housing model out of those to get introduced into the marketplace. Wow. So we have one of the developers of those projects, as well as some other housing developments.
Then if somebody wants to know more, tell us the URL of the Henderson Chamber website.
HendersonChamber.com.
All right, easy enough.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and record this episode with us. We'll have to have you back again.
All right, Jaime, thank you.
Yep. Well, that was it for another episode of the WC Podcast. I want to thank all the folks that make this happen behind the scenes, and we hope to see you at the next one. Until then, stay safe. Well, Scott, thank you for staying over to do our bonus segment called In the Hot Seat. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. The first segment is called Your Favorites. I'm going to start with an easy category. You're going to give me your favorite thing in that category. Your favorite food.
Pilaf, and that would be my favorite meal. Pilaf and tri-tip.
Favorite beverage with dinner.
That would be a glass of Burgundy.
Favorite dessert after dinner.
Something with chocolate.
Favorite way to start your day.
Hopefully with a good night's sleep.
Favorite way to unwind after a long day.
Back to that Burgundy.
Favorite hobby or weekend activity.
Fly fishing, although it's hard to do on the weekends in Southern Nevada.
Favorite vacation spot.
Usually chasing a fish somewhere else in the world.
Favorite holiday.
Christmas.
Favorite car you've ever owned.
I really like my current truck. 2026 Silverado.
Nice. Favorite college sports team.
Well, that's UNLV, Jaime.
Favorite professional sports team.
The Raiders.
Awesome. Sandra Douglas Morgan will be happy. Second segment is called Tough Choices. We make it, again, it gets a little harder. Hopefully you can pick between one of these two options we give you. If you can't, you can pick both as well. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
Fly or drive there?
Fly.
When you get there, hotel or Airbnb?
Definite hotel.
When you retire one day, Scott, will it be in the ranch or in the city?
Hopefully I'll have a house in both places, Jaime, but I'll say the ranch.
I like that. If you have a day all by yourself, day by the ocean or hiking in the mountains?
Oh, I'll be in the mountains.
Fly fishing rivers or fly fishing lakes?
Rivers.
Gunrock the Mustang or Herky the Hornet?
That's the toughest one. Let's go with the Mustang.
Have more time or have more money?
Time.
If you were a superhero, the ability to fly or breathe underwater?
Fly.
The ability to speak with animals or speak any foreign language?
Let's go with animals.
We're getting down the final stretch, so here's where it gets really tough. Two things, and you must choose: truth or kindness?
Truth.
Actions or words?
Actions.
Justice or grace?
Grace.
Well, you made it through tough choices. Good job, Scott. The last segment is called Finish the Sentence. And so I'm going to give you about 90% of the sentence. You're going to finish it for me. If you could visit any place in the world, it would be?
Labrador, Newfoundland to chase giant brook trout with a dry fly.
Wow. The best part about living in Boulder City is?
It's Boulder City.
Your favorite thing about your job as president and CEO of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce is?
The people.
And if you could travel back in time to any year, any period, you would travel to?
Last year to watch my daughter play her senior season of basketball again.
Nice. 3 words that describe you, Scott, are?
Empathetic, patient, entrepreneur.
And doing the WC podcast here with us today was?
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thanks for staying over to doing the bonus segment.
All right, Jaime.